everyone and welcome back to This in Canada. I hope you're all staying safe and are healthy. So in this video, I will answer some of the most common questions asked by you about the studies in Canada. So without any further ado, let's start our video. Now let's take the first most common question asked by the international student coming to Canada. The most common question asked by students are that how many hours they can work in Canada as an international student. I already made an in-depth video about how many hours international student can work in Canada, but still I get this question again and again. So in this video, we will cover in depth about how many hours an international student can work with proof. I will provide every link which I will be discussing in this video in the description box so that you have the clear understanding about each and everything. Now let's move forward to our screen. But today I will also tell you how can you verify that how many hours you can work in Canada. So now this is the canada.ca website and I will provide the link in the description box. As you can see, they have provided everything about working on campus, working off campus, working as a co-op student, and also if you want to invite your spouse. Now first and the most important thing is that you can only start working in Canada when you start your study program. Which means that if you are coming in the fall intake, if your classes are starting from 15th September, you can't work before 15th September. Even if you land in Canada in August, you can't start working from August. You can only start working in Canada when your classes begin. Now moving forward, you can only work in Canada if your study permits have the following conditions, and you can find that on your study permit. You should have a social insurance number and a valid study permit. Now you can't work on campus if you stop studying full time or your study permit expires. So you have to be very careful if you are working on campus. Now let's see how many hours you can work on campus. You can work as many hours as you want in addition to working off campus, as long as you continue to meet the eligibility requirement for working on campus. Which means that you can work on campus for as many hours you want. There is no limit that you have to work only 20 hours on campus. You can work as many hours you want, and also while working on campus you can work off campus as well. Like those hours are totally different. But in my suggestion, I would say that you should not work a lot, like on campus and off campus. Don't work a lot. Now off-campus work requirements. So let's move forward and look how many hours you can work off-campus. During regular term semester, you can work up to 20 hours per week. You can work more than one job to make up these hours as long as you continue to meet the condition of your study permit. During the scheduled breaks in the school year, you can work full-time if you have scheduled breaks such as winter and summer holidays. Which means that you can only work 20 hours off campus. If you can work only 20 hours and you can work on campus as many hours you want, and those hours are totally different. When you have scheduled break, maybe summer or winter, you can work full time. Now the very next question many people have is that what is full time? How many hours are considered as full time? Many students assume that full time means 40 hours a week, and that's not true. Let me show you. Now many students say that 40 hours means full time, but it's very clearly written on the website. There is no set number of hours per week that count as full-time work. However, your employers must follow all provisional laws on overtime pay and time between shifts. Like generally speaking, 9 to 5 job is almost 37.5 hours. There is also the time of breaks in between, but you can work more than 40 hours. You can work as many hours you want. That is considered as full-time job. Like for example, you are working 9 to 5 in some company, but on weekends you are doing some other job, some other side hustle. So there is not anything like 40 hours is considered a full-time job. I also want to share another point. We already discussed that you can't start working unless you start studying in the college or university. Also, you can't work when your studies are over and the time you have applied your work permit. Now let me explain you that. For example, you complete your studies, your program in January सारा कुछ खत्म, you got your transcripts, everything is done, you completed your studies, your program is totally finished. and now you will apply for work permit. But the day you apply work permit and the day you completed your studies, between that time, maybe 1 week, 2 weeks, till you apply your work permit, you can't work in Canada. Now this is something not many people know, and you have to be very careful. The day you apply your work permit, that day you can start working full time. But between the day you apply your work permit and you completed your studies, you can't work. Whether you will get work permit of 1 year, 3 years, or whatever is the case, that doesn't matter. You need to submit your application for work permit and you can resume your work full time. And this is the thing which many people forget about. So be careful if you completed your studies and if you are ready to apply for your work permit. Now the second most common question, and I think it's very common, is that how many years of work permit you will get after completing your studies. Mostly this question arises in the mind of students who want to complete their studies in 1 year or less than 2 years. And I totally get it, because I also completed my studies in 16 months and I was also scared that whether I will get my work permit for 1 year or 2 years. I get this question so many times on Instagram, on comment section, so I want to answer this question very direct. And the answer which I often tell you when you ask me that if you complete your studies in 1 year, whether you will get work permit of 3 years or not, and my answer is very honest, I don't know. And it's very true. I don't know whether you will get your work permit for 3 years or 1 year. I don't want to give any false hope or any assumption, nothing like that. And I want to give my answer very directly. Now let's move forward and let's look what are the rules, whether you will get work permit for 1 year or 3 years. Let's go to our screen. So mostly this question is from the students who want to complete their studies in less than 2 years. And I totally get that after your bachelor's, you don't want to spend more than 2 years to complete your studies. Now this is also again canada.ca, which is the official website. I will provide the link in the description box, so you have to check that out and research properly. Now let's say the length of the program of study is at least 8 months and less than 2 years. Now, in order to get work permit in Canada, your studies should be between 8 months to 2 years. Now, this is the first situation where your studies is of at least 8 months but less than 2 years, which is often our case, like students who complete their studies in 1 year or 16 months. Now, what does the website say? What does the official website says? If you have completed your studies between 8 months, at least 8 months and less than 2 years, the length of the work permit should coincide with the length of program, which means that if you have completed your studies in 8 months, you should get work permit of 8 months. In 1 year, then 1 year. If we go down here, they also said that the regularly scheduled break like winter and summer should not be subtracted from the length of postgraduate work permit. If you go a little down, it says that officers may issue 3-year post-graduation work permit to individual who completes master's or doctorate degree in Canada when the eligible DLI has confirmed in the written confirmation of program completion that the degree is 16 to 23 months in length and doesn't include regularly scheduled breaks. Now I want to here say that please read this line very carefully. If you have completed your program at least of 8 months and less than 2 years, you will get work permit of the length of the studies you do. But they also said that you might get work permit of 3 years if you have done master's or doctorate and your completion letter states that the length of the program actually was between 16 months to 23 months. Now I will take my example because I did get my work permit for 3 years and I completed my master's in 16 months. So when you are submitting your work permit application, it is important that you submit the required documents. You have to submit transcripts, completion letter and everything. So my international advisor, she said that if you are given choice between completion letter and transcript while submitting your work permit application, don't submit transcript. Submit the completion letter provided by the university. And my university did write that this is to certify that the above named student completed the degree requirements for the Master of Engineering degree in Electrical and Computer Engineering from Faculty of Engineering on December 2016. And the degree will be conferred at spring convocation. This program is typically completed within 1 to 2 years. So when I went to my university, so they give you a form and I said there that I want this line to be written that my program is usually completed in 1 to 2 years. So I think that was the reason I got my work permit for 3 years. Now, why I don't answer this directly that whether you will get work permit for 1 year or 3 years, because they have written that you may be eligible to get work permit for 3 years. Now, may is a very strong word. They haven't written that you will get work permit for 3 years, because there can be chances that you might not get work permit for 3 years. What I have seen with my friends is that my friends who were with me in University of Waterloo, some even completed their studies in 1 year. Like I completed in 16 months, they completed in 12 months. And they got work permit for 3 years without any problem. They got work permit for 3 years. But there were 2 cases which I know. Like I don't know about other people, but 2 of my friends, they completed their degree in 1 year and they got work permit for 1 year. Now a student complete his masters in 8 months and he got work permit for 3 years. So that's why I never answer this question directly, because to be honest, I don't know what's the answer for this question. It all depends upon visa officer and the documents you submit. And now the next thing is that if your program of study is 2 years or longer, like the undergrad program or advanced diploma, then the length of the work permit should be 3 years. Now the third thing is that, which many students again have this question, is that if they complete more than one program from an eligible DLI within 2 years, like for example 1 year you do some other program and 1 year you do some other program in some another college, but both are within DLI list. So in that case, if the length of the work permit should combine the length of each program. If the combined length of the program is 2 years or longer, the work permit may be valid for up to 3 years. अगर तुसी 2 साला which complete कर दे हो अपने 2 diplomas, then your work permit will be valid for 3 years. Now let me tell you why I don't answer this question directly. For example, in this situation where we said that if you complete your studies in 8 months and less than 2 years, they have written you may issue 3-year postgraduate work permit. And similarly, if the student completed more than one program in 2 years, then again their work permit may be valid for 3 years. Now they have written word may over here and may over here. So may is not very sure thing. But in terms when you have completed your program for more than 2 years, then they have written that short 100% the length of the work permit should be 3 years. Here they have written should be 3 years and the other 2 is maybe. So maybe and should be are very 2 strong words. But now let's move forward to our third most common question asked, whether you can get PR in Ontario and British Columbia easy or not. So now many students want to go to New Brunswick, Saskatchewan, Atlantic Province, Nova Scotia, Manitoba, because they think that PR is easy over there. And that's true. Getting PR is easier over there. But that doesn't mean that it's impossible to get PR in Ontario and British Columbia. If you have found a university which is like your dream university or a college which is your dream college, you should not shy away from getting admission in Ontario or British Columbia just because people say that it's impossible to get PR in Ontario. I have done masters from Ontario and I got my PR from Ontario. I will say that yes, PR in Ontario or British Columbia can take more time than getting PR in Manitoba or Nova Scotia. But once you are on work permit, time flies by very easily. You can work full time, your expenses are getting covered. It's just matter of getting the PR. And it's not like that it's impossible to get PR in Ontario. But one suggestion I will say that if you are coming to Ontario or any province, you should research about the PR pathway of that province. Don't come blindly to any province and then later realize that, oh, PR is not possible in this province. So make sure you have your thorough research and your homework done beforehand when you are selecting your university. Moving forward, which is another most common question asked by students, is that moving to smaller cities or studying from a smaller city is disadvantage and you will not get part-time jobs. And I don't know why this assumption or why this myth is there that if you will come to smaller city you will not get part-time job or you will not get full-time job. It's not like that. I studied from Waterloo, which is relatively a smaller city than Toronto, but there were plenty of part-time jobs and I did get my part-time job. It's not like that you will not get part-time job. And let me tell you, when I came to Waterloo and Kitchener, many students said me who were already here that you should not move to Kitchener, Waterloo. It's a small city, come to Toronto. And now things are totally different. People are actually moving to Waterloo, Kitchener, Cambridge area because it's cheaper to get home over there than in Toronto. Like, you can't buy and stay in Toronto forever. You have to move out eventually. And now the next most common question asked by a student is that, is it possible to survive Canadian winters even if you have come from a very hot place? And let me tell you, yes, it is totally possible to survive Canadian winters. I'm surviving here from last 6 years and you will also survive. Thing like there, you have to layer yourself properly, buy a good winter jacket, buy a good winter shoes, and you are good to go. Everywhere there is heating. You have to just wait for the bus if you are a student here and if you don't already have a car. Otherwise, winter over here is very beautiful. So I hope I have answered some of your most common asked question. If you have any other question, feel free to comment in the comment section. And also please do like this video, subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell, and also share with your friends and family. And I will see you in my next video. Till then, take care and bye-bye.